How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Yes, I have been incommunicado for a few days here. Had a lot of problems on my summer vacation here. I'm in Cannon Beach, Oregon. And one thing after another, my computer died, and travel days, and Mike took over for me yesterday, and then apparently that was a big audio nightmare, which makes sense, obviously, because Mike Sempervive is involved, but I am back here today. Mike will be back here today as well. We are live on the stream, so everything is good to go here on a Friday, and we have a lot of news to talk about. Obviously, some of the big stories today, we've got updates on All Elite Wrestling. A year after All In began the path to the creation of All Elite Wrestling, the sequel event All Out sold out within 15 minutes of going on sale Friday morning. Last year's event at Chicago Sears Center sold out in less than 30 minutes, drew 11,263. Double or Nothing in Las Vegas sold out in 4 minutes, 12,000. Announced matches for the show: Chris Jericho, Hangman Page for the AEW title, Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega, Saturday, August 31st. Will be available on pay-per-view. Next event, Fyter Fest, Saturday, June 29th, Daytona Beach, Florida. Available for free on Bleacher Report Live. So another quick sellout, 15 minutes, sold out faster than All In did last year. We could talk about that. We got matches for the show. We got a weird story coming out of Japan. Not entirely sure what's going on because it is very, very early in the morning in Japan. But we'll talk about that when we come back from the break. Plus, we'll take your phone calls, emails, text messages, and more here today. 844-411. Actually, that number does not work. 1-800-878-PLAY today is the phone number. That is 1-800-878-PLAY. I'll repeat that repeatedly because the other number is not working today because I'm not at home. You have to go through the sports byline. 1-800-878-PLAY is the phone number. 1-800-878-PLAY. At Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. I'll send out the text message line here as well, 425-780-7566. And we will kick it off after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. At the moment, no Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. But fear not, we're going to try and figure out how to get him on here at some point. And if we don't, the guy deserves a day off anyway for all of the hard work over the last couple of days, holding down the fort when I've been gone. As noted, a couple of big stories here today. All In, the original, All Out, second try. Here a year later, the Chicago Sears Center, AEW sold out all of the tickets in 15 minutes. They are gone. So the lineup for the show thus far, got a couple of things, actually. We got the Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega match, which is just been announced, actually. Which obviously is an interesting match because one of the guys has to lose. Because the whole deal here is they're doing all clean finishes. I suppose you can always make exceptions, but it does appear that one of them's winning, one of them's losing. That's the idea. Wins and losses matter. Chris Jericho, Hangman Page for the title is also set for the show. The winner will become the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So did you get your tickets for All Out yet? Because if you didn't get your tickets, they're gone. Don't know what to tell you. So if you want to give us a call here today, the phone number, 1-800-878-PLAY. Do not call the other number, 1-800-878-PLAY. You've got to go through the sports byline here today. And once you do so, you'll be in the queue, as they call it, and you'll be waiting here on the line to speak to us. I'm trying to find something here, which is why I'm kind of hemming and hawing here, because I want to make sure that I've got the exact quote for the story that I'm about to tell. Okay, so there was an article that came out today, Mirahan.net in Japan, and it's basically, according to this tweet right here, it is a opinion piece, although in the middle of it, this is the exact quote in the article. And this is not an opinion. This is posted in the article as an exact quote. As an insider noted, Gedo has already stepped down from the job as booker. So that was in the article. Now, that, of course, got online, and all day today, people have been talking about the story that Gedo is no longer the booker of New Japan Pro Wrestling. For those of you that love New Japan, love the storytelling, love all the big angles, it's all Gedo. He has been the man behind the booking of New Japan forever now. So, this story goes out everywhere here today, and I want to make it clear that I don't know what's going on right now, because it is very early morning. I think it's probably 3 or 4 a.m. in Tokyo right now, and as a result, we're not going to know anything for several hours. But this is what I can tell you, okay? I can tell you that I talked to several people from New Japan, and every single one of them said that this story was not true, that Gedo is still the booker. Now, to be fair, all of these people were foreigners. I did not hear from any of the native New Japan talent. They were all foreigners. But obviously, some of them are very, very well connected, and all of them said that this story is not true. Now, it is possible, and I have heard people speculate this, and I want to make this very clear that this is purely speculation. And I will reiterate that everybody that I talked to in New Japan said that the story was not true, that Gedo had stepped down. But I have heard people speculate that it is possible that New Japan has moved to more of a committee type for booking, and that Gedo remains on the committee, but he is not the head booker. Once again, this is 100% speculation by somebody. So it is possible that happened, and that's why this story came out, that he is no longer the head booker, but that he is still part of the team. So the reality is we're going to know more. I mean, by this weekend, we'll probably know everything that's going on. It appears there's a very good chance that the story is absolutely not true at all. Or, where there's smoke, there's fire. I guess we will find out. But that is the absolute latest on this as of right now, and if I hear anything more during the course of the show, I will let you know. All right, let's go to the phones. I believe the first person waiting here. Let's just go to whoever's first on the line. You're on the air. What's going on?
Yeah, I was able to get one all-out ticket, thankfully.
Okay.
Well, something I'm wondering is how many...
The connection's terrible, my friend. You may have to text me this number. I want to thank you very much for the call, or text me your question. I don't know if this is on my end, Byline's end, or his end, so we'll try and figure this out during the break, but that was a very, very poor connection right there. Apparently he's still on the line. I'm gonna let you go there. All right, let's go to some of the questions right here, and then we will figure out the rest of everything that's going on. This guy says, you guys have any more all-out ticks or plan on putting more on sale in the future? No, we are out. We had a very limited number, just like we did for the last AEW show. We had a very limited number of tickets that we put on sale as part of a package, and those sold out in 2 minutes. So we don't have any left, and I don't think we're going to be getting any more. So, hate to tell everybody that, but that's the story. We do have some tickets left for Dave and I. We're doing a Q&A, and I believe that we've got a fair number of tickets left at this moment. We've sold about 2 dozen so far, so if you'd like to be involved in the Q&A that Dave and I are doing, a live mailbag, you can get that information on my Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez. All the information that you need is up there right now, so you can head up there and check it out. I believe we've got a few tickets remaining for that, so if you want to be involved there, you can do that, and I believe we will be doing something for the StarCast as well. So if you'd like to get tickets to StarCast, those are available. Live Q&A session, I'll retweet it right now. Tickets are still available for that, and those are the two things that Dave and I are going to be doing over All In Weekend, or All Out, I guess it could be. I get confused with all the different names, but All Out StarCast Weekend is the one coming up at the end of August. A couple of other notes here. I think Mike probably talked about this, but following a night in which Raw posted record low non-holiday ratings, SmackDown held up slightly better, dropping just 4% from last week. At an average of 1.93 million viewers, it was still among the lowest viewership totals for SmackDown since moving to Tuesday night, but several episodes in the last few months have had lower numbers. SmackDown retained 90% of Monday's Raw number, a slightly better percentage than usual, which likely shows the impact that Game 5 of the NBA Finals had on Raw's ratings. SmackDown had no major sports competition, finished 8th for the night in terms of total cable TV viewers, trailing only related news programming. 18 to 49 demo topped 0.6 rating. So year over year, SmackDown was down 12%. The first time in a month, the show has had a double-digit decline. So that's the update on the ratings. Raw also did not do well. And we got another Raw coming up Monday, which I think the only thing they've announced is that R-Truth is being shipped there in a box. And he claims he's suffering from hypothermia. So that's what we're dealing with here in terms of the creative for WWE. And there you go. This person here says, Goto put out the... I don't even know if that's true. We'll find out here. This person here says, have you seen the rumors online that Shane McMahon may beat Kofi Kingston for the WWE title? Well, I mean, any rumors online about anything more than a week out in WWE, it's pure speculation. I mean, I think the reason that people think that Shane McMahon is going to win the title, and I've seen people speculating that, is because of how hard they're pushing Shane McMahon. They push him, and they push him, and they push him, and they push him, and he wins, and he wins, and he wins, and he wins. And I think as a result of that, people presume, he must be winning the title this year. I have not heard officially any plans of Shane McMahon winning the title. I mean, maybe it's going to happen, I don't know. But he's not even scheduled to face Kofi, unless there's been something that I'm unaware of that just got signed. But I suppose that anything is possible. So we can talk about this more after the break. Back in a moment with more as we try to figure out everything going on here. Wrestling Observer Live. All right, believe it or not, I think Mike Sempervive is here. Mike.
I'm here.
Oh, my God. Finally, he's here. Anything else going to go wrong here today? I guess
it's possible. It's still early yet.
I guess you showing up isn't necessarily anything going wrong, but all right. Well, anything on this? What are your thoughts on this AEW story and what's going on with, or may not be going on, or we don't even know, with Gedo?
Are we trying to tie those two stories together now that maybe Gedo has quit and now he has been recruited by Cody Rhodes to be the booker of AEW?
I'm not tying any of this together.
Okay, good. I hope nobody does because, there just seems to be a whole lot of speculation that got run rampant, and it looks like Gedo is staying with New Japan, whether that's in a reduced role, as you talked about, with joining a committee. If that banter proves to be true, it can be understood that that's why this story came out. Otherwise, I have no idea why somebody would troll like this and just get everybody's weekend off to a fast start. But that looks to be a non-story, while the AEW story, once again, is a real story. And once again, it looks like Chicago is going to be their Greensboro every year when it comes to running on Labor Day weekend, because they sold out again, and great job. So everything is set and ready to go for them, other than getting a card together. So that's actually a real story. So it's been a fun start to the weekend, on which usually Fridays tend to be boring. So it was nice of everybody to spice this up a little bit.
All right. Well, apparently Ryan is on the line, so let's find out what he's got to say here today. Yes, Ryan.
My question's on your new book.
Oh yeah, another problem here. Yeah, I can't hear you, Ryan. You're out of here. All right, no phone calls here today. That's what we got text messages here for. Well, so, hey, you know what? This will actually help. So, as everyone is well aware, I had major computer issues yesterday. And so I went and I bought a new computer. And, of course, right as this show goes on the air, the stupid thing starts downloading a 2.4 gig update. And if anybody can tell me how on a brand new MacBook Pro I can stop this stupid download so I can save the internet for this show here, please let me know, because it's driving me absolutely out of my mind. I'm ready to kill somebody here. All right, this person here says, will you be reading your new book and having it available on Audible like Death of WCW? A fine question and a great time for me to plug this new book here in the middle of this very, very busy day. Right now, there's no deal for an audiobook or for Audible.com. The company that's putting this book out, Triumph Books, they don't do audiobooks. But they are willing to do an audiobook if they sign a deal with Audible. I'm willing to read the book if they make a deal with Audible. So we are going to see what we can do. Maybe at some point we're going to have an audiobook, but right now, at this point, I'm afraid that you are going to have to read the book on your own. So, there you go. I know it's sad news for a lot of people.
Oh, it is. Now, there's always the alternative where you could just sit and read the book on the air here.
I could read the book here on the air. In fact, believe it or not, I already have a copy of the book.
Would you like to read one out of there right now?
No, because I'm gone. I'm not at home.
Oh, well.
It's at home.
Aye.
So, yes. This person here says, will today's audio be pristine on the website? Well, that's the plan. But plans change, everybody. Uh-huh. Plans change.
Hard out here.
Out of the break, show started sounding like you're on the phone. You guys sound terrible. Hey, will you shut up? We're doing our best here, everybody.
You sound terrible.
All right. Let's talk about some of the news here. Obviously, big story is the sellout already of AEW. We've had the Gedo story. And yes, believe it or not, Truth is locked in a box, and he's being taken to Raw. Yes, I bring that up because, once again, this is one of those days where I just look at what WWE is doing, and I look at what's going on elsewhere in the world, most notably this AEW sellout, and I have said this before, I'll say it again. All I had to hear for 20 years was what Vince needs to turn this ship around, what Vince needs to produce a better product, what Vince needs to bring back a boom period is strong competition, because that will light a fire underneath him, and he will produce better programming. Well, the show a couple of weeks ago, Double or Nothing, 100,000 pay-per-view buys, big hit among everybody that watched it. Everybody loved the show. Now we got this Chicago sellout in 15 minutes. And what do we get from WWE in the midst of all of this? We get the exact same shows. R-Truth is in a box. We're building up matches for Tacoma, including Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins. I mean, I have zero evidence, everybody. I mean, maybe you could prove me wrong. I have zero evidence that this competition by AEW is lighting any sort of fire under Vince, or there's any indication that things are going to turn around now that he has strong competition. Anybody like to prove me wrong? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I can't do it right now. We'll have to see what happens as this thing moves forward and we go into fall, where there's not only AEW, but there's football and there's a brand new network when it comes to SmackDown and a new philosophy when it comes to juggling networks. We'll see how all that plays out. I am not feeling very bullish on the whole thing. It's hard to anyway. Even in the past, they seem to always get off to a good start. It's a good first week, and then things start to slide after that. That's always going to kind of be the case oftentimes. Not everything's going to rocket and take off, but when WWE does it, it seems to be quite obvious and very predictable, and that's usually the case. Now you can't even expect them to get off to a good start, but we'll have to see what happens moving forward. As long as Vince is there, again, as Moxley talked about, as other people have talked about, he swears what he is doing is okay, and he is surrounded by people that know oftentimes what is going on is not okay, but they have got to placate him. And as long as he's there and he is the sole only voice, you're probably going to have a lot more swings and misses than you're going to have hits.
Okay, so if you want to give us a call, actually don't give us a call. If you want to text us, 425-780-7566. If you're busy calling the 844-411-5411 number, stop. There's no one there. And if you're calling the Sports Byline, stop, because this download is unstoppable here. It's barreling on through. It's barreling on through like Dave Meltzer going through the G1 standings. It cannot be stopped right now.
Oh, he is going to be in his glory this year when he starts going through scenarios. I hope Gedo, thank God he is not gone, because I hope he is booked.
Oh, we don't know yet.
Well, that's true, but whoever is there. Well, and remember now, though, if they're going to make a move like this in front of the G1, one would figure that he has plans that are laid out for the rest of the year, so it would be a smooth transition to whoever takes over. So let's fantasy book that way. Can you imagine Dave going through scenarios with you overnight at 4 o'clock in the morning, going through G1 possibilities? It's going to be epic.
Person here says, is Carmella going... Actually, this might have been Ryan's question. Because the first question he asks, he actually bothers to tweet me to say, could you really not hear me or just not want to take a question about your new WWE book? So he doesn't tweet me to ask me the question that I couldn't hear. He tweets me to ask me if I really couldn't hear him, because he's an idiot. But he does ask this question, is Carmella going to turn against R-Truth to win the 24/7 title? If she doesn't, then they've lost their minds. I mean, it's the easiest storyline in the world. She's been helping him. Like, ultimately, she has to turn on him and steal the title, right?
Well, she doesn't necessarily have to turn on him. Maybe they have a moment where she lands on top of him. They have an embrace in somebody's eyes, and then they can't pan the camera back, and the referee is slapping his hand down for a 3, and they shake themselves out of it, and she's the new champion.
I think it's going to happen, but I mean, everybody seems to have figured out that it's inevitable to happen. So when WWE's putting something together, they don't like doing things that everybody's figured out. So there is at least a possibility they won't do this.
And look, and he could use, there's the one thing when everybody's against you, obviously going after this title, him having somebody at his side to help foil everybody else, I don't think is the worst thing in the world. It just, it's another part of that story.
This person here says, I was the caller with the poor connection. Just wanted to say I was lucky enough to get a ticket to All Out. Just wanted to know, has Dave played up the bet yet? Or paid up the bet? Because now that bet is at $4, if you think about it. I don't think he has. Maybe he has. I mean, they haven't asked for the money. So, I mean, maybe they're not gonna make him pay up.
If they're going to do that, then they have to recreate not Brewster's Millions. What was it? Trading Places. They got to do the whole thing with the whole Mortimer bet there with the $1. They got to do that transaction.
This person here says, Mike in West Seattle, I got my all-out tickets to the Observer. Thank you. Belated happy birthday. Could you see Omega losing to Moxley so they can knock him down a little bit, then introduce him to a broader TV audience this fall with a year-long Becky-style build-up culminating in a title, or would that be nuts? Well, all I know is this. I mean, originally, the idea was that Pac was going to come in and beat Hangman, and then Kenny Omega was going to beat Pac. So if that was their idea, then, I mean, Kenny Omega was going to be winning at the All Out show. Now they brought in Moxley, and it is a weird thing because Kenny Omega lost at the last show, and Jon Moxley's new. Now, is it the end of the world if Kenny Omega loses again, and then you start building him up once TV starts? Of course not. I mean, maybe to me the better idea would be for Jon Moxley to win. He's the new guy. He's coming in. He was the focal point of the end of the last show. So I probably would put Moxley over for now. You can always build up Kenny Omega later. But I don't know what they're going to do. There's a method to whatever madness they have. And we'll get Mike's thoughts when we come back from the break. Back in a moment with more, everybody. Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. If you want to text us here today, we're taking text messages for the moment. 425-780-7566. This person here says, if WWE were booking the Moxley-Omega fight, I could definitely see them having MJF or the Dark Order interrupt the match for a screwy finish. Yeah, but the idea is AEW doesn't want to do screwy finishes. So whatever the idea is, they're going to do a finish. So there you go. All right.
What do you think about Jericho and Adam Page? Because
Jericho should win.
That's what I think, and that's what I would say, too, and that would build, obviously, towards, I would say, Jericho and Omega down the line. That would seem to make the most obvious sense, not only because he was the first undisputed champion, but just because of his name value alone, and having somebody chase him as a heel, and I can just see people being upset over Adam Page, like, why would you want to beat him now? He's got such a long way to go, and he's going to be... as time goes on, one would think the main singles guy of that company, he's certainly going to be there, more than Cody. Cody's going to be the face, obviously, but as far as the wrestling goes, Adam Page is going to be their guy for the future, so plenty of time with him.
Anybody who thinks that Adam Page cannot be beaten right now does not understand wrestling. That's what I got to say.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. The whole idea, yes, you could make a babyface your first champion. I mean, yes, you could do that. But why? Then what?
Where do you go?
So Adam Page is your champion. Then what? You just find some heel to challenge him at the next show? Yeah, you can do that. I mean, I'm not one of those people that thinks... Obviously, WWE goes way too far with having to get heat for everything. But, dude, put the belt on a strong heel, build up a strong babyface, do a chase, pay it off down the road. Adam Page has his whole career to become the champion of AEW. I don't think it needs to be done right now. I think that Jericho, forget being the first undisputed champion. I mean, who cares about that? That was 20 years ago or whatever. I mean, for right now, he is a recognizable name. Contrary to what some people on the internet want to rant about on social media, he can still go. And he's a great heel. And he's a good guy to be the first champion of your company. And down the road, somebody can beat him, whether that's Adam Page or Kenny Omega or any of a dozen guys that they can build up. So I absolutely think that Chris Jericho should be the first champion. I don't know if he's going to be the first champion, but I believe that he should be.
His Twitter account's a little drunk, though.
Oh.
A little bit of a mess on there, but that's neither here nor there.
This person here says, knowing that the Shane push is a rumor, if he wins the world title from Kofi, would it be equivalent to David Arquette in WCW? Well, no, because David Arquette was an actor with no wrestling experience. Like, whatever you think of Shane as a wrestler, and I think he pretty much sucks, like, he is pushed as a wrestler. He is pushed as a formidable opponent. I mean, he has won numerous feuds in the last year. So, no, this would be very different from David Arquette.
Shane's had a presence as a wrestler now for, again, 20 years ago with Jericho, 20 years ago with Shane. I mean, for heaven's sakes. How old is Shane right now? And he's always been presented, and, maybe, incorrectly, as being on par with guys on that roster who win titles, not the least of which is Roman Reigns.
All right, so this person here, Nick. I'm not going to be mean to Nick, but I'm going to be honest with Nick. Clean your ears out, buddy. He says, usually I agree with what you have to say, Brian, but this is the first time I haven't. I have seen a lot worse than Billy Kay over the last 15 to 20 years, and he has a list here. Okay? Lana, Eva Marie, Sable, Maria Kanellis, Sharmell, Jenna Maraska, Lacey Von Erich, Jillian Hall. Okay.
What are you winning here?
So listen, Nick, you numbskull. I didn't say Billy Kay is the worst female wrestler I've ever seen in my life. I said she's by far the worst wrestler in WWE right now. Eva Marie, Sable, Maria, Sharmell, Jenna, Lacey, Jillian, none of them are wrestling for WWE right now. Lana is, but Billy Kay is worse than Lana right now. Lana's not even doing matches. So I stand by this, that Billy Kay is by far the worst wrestler in WWE right now. And that has nothing to do with other bad female wrestlers over the years. It's irrelevant. Yeah, Jenna Maraska is worse than Billy Kay. I never said that Billy Kay was worse than Jenna. I only said she was the worst wrestler in WWE right now. So get with the program, buddy.
I still don't know how you're supposed to be defending your cause there with by that logic. Like, my car's not a complete piece of crap because, my dad had a Corvair.
Well, he's trying to prove me wrong because he thinks that I'm saying that Billy Kay is worse than Jenna Maraska. He's trying to say, I gotcha. But that's not what I said. I never said that.
Maybe that author can tell me then, because I had a chance to see her in Shimmer and had a chance to see her elsewhere, why that she's been in the WWE system and somehow has, at the very least, ground to a halt. And I think by all accounts, I don't know, slid backwards. Like, that's the part that boggles my mind.
This person here says, welcome back, Brian. I wanted to share a bit about my all-out buying experience. I am going with...
He definitely couldn't have did that with just me, right?
I am going with a group of 6. Well, he couldn't have done it with just you because they were on sale yesterday.
Well, that's a good point.
I'm going with a group of 6. 4 of us all tried buying tickets using multiple computers each. Only one of the 4 of us was able to buy 4 in the 200 level. The second person that got in was able to select single seats. I was 20,000th in line despite entering the queue around 10:35 local time, and we are all locals.
Wow.
So I haven't been on Dave's Twitter today, but I'm sure he's doing all the math to talk about how many tickets they would have sold.
If he's not fighting somebody.
Fact of the matter is, it would have been a lot. So, and I don't know how many.
I want to stay as far away from Dave's Twitter this weekend as possible.
All right, if you want to text us here today, 425-780-7566 here. Per says, honestly, I think either outcome between Jericho and Page is the win. The only issue with Page taking an L is he's still got the stench of his ROH booking on him. He never really had a career-defining win. So what?
No way.
So what? He can have it later. He doesn't need to have it now.
No way does he have the. First of all, do you think everybody that's an AEW fan had a chance to see all those guys in ROH? And I'm sure that many of those fans do not like ROH, and they are looking at these guys as being lifted up out of that stench. There is no stench remaining. If you're an AEW fan that bought tickets for that show, nobody is saying that about Adam Page. Nobody. And I don't think anybody even realizes that he doesn't, if he does or does not have a defining win. I mean, he's got the matches with like Jay White, and so I mean he's had plenty of stuff on his own that has made him stand out, so I don't think there's any question of that at all.
God, I finally figured out how to pause this. Holy smokes.
Good work.
I feel like an old man.
Well,
I'm not an old man, Mike. I heard you said that I was 53 or something like that. You're an idiot.
You're still older than me, pal.
Let's see what else we got here. I am older than you, but what does that have to do with anything? I look 15 years younger than you, so I win.
That's a good point.
This person says, Bryan trying to make America read again is the only campaign I want to see in 2020. I'm much too busy to run for president. You kidding? Maybe the mayor of Bothell. I'll start with that.
Oh, yeah?
I got a lot of things I'd fix about this town. This person says, Shane and Arquette are different, but wouldn't it be another push towards WWE's possible demise? WWE isn't demising anytime soon. You understand? And they're just not. This company's worth $7 billion last time I checked. WCW was losing millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars every year. And as much as people say, there's the people that don't want to take blame. Kevin Nash and Russo and Bischoff, and so they go, well, it's the AOL Time Warner merger. And that's not why WCW died. But when AOL and Time Warner were preparing for their merger, they looked at how everything was doing. And guess what was doing terribly because of Kevin Nash and Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff? World Championship Wrestling. So I guess if you really want to say, well, it was because of the merger, I guess you could say that if you want to be full of it. But if WCW was making the money that they were making in 1997, where they were profiting $125 million, then the AOL Time Warner merger would not have been the demise of World Championship Wrestling. But they didn't. They went from $125 million in profit to losing $62 million. Why? Because people were totally incompetent. WWE, right now, Vince McMahon is totally incompetent. But the fans are still paying for stuff. They're still paying for the network. Unlike WCW, they got a $2.3 billion television deal. I mean, they ain't going out of business.
No, that's the thing, too. WWE is incompetent creatively. From a business point of view, from a connections point of view, from a public relations point of view, no matter what you want to think about any of their practices, they are an established success with lots and lots of money. And let's remember the other thing, too. You can operate a pro wrestling company on a loss for at least a little while. And that's the one thing that somebody could still remember. If they ever crash and go into the abyss, all they have to do is go back to pro wrestling and they'll still be able to survive. I mean, the people that wonder and wonder what the demise is going to be like for WWE don't remember what 1993 was like.
Person here says, my daughter was in queue at 28,000 in line. Dave said there were 80,000 in line, and they could have done 100,000 fans for this show. That's Dave's math.
Oh my God, we're going to the Rose Bowl next.
This person here notes 55,000 were in the queue at one point.
Soldier Field next year for All Out. Book it.
55,000. That's not too bad.
It's a lot of people.
This Ryan again. Is Stephanie considered a better worker than Billie Kay? Well, Stephanie hasn't been wrestling. I'd have to watch a Stephanie match. But the last few Stephanie matches I've watched, she was in fact better than Billie Kay. So, that's my answer. But she hasn't been wrestling, so I don't know how she'd be right now. Since All Out is sold out, I hear that Stomping Grounds has tickets available, this person says.
It's just in case you want to spend that travel money somewhere else.
Yeah. 55,000 in the queue. Is that, no, yeah, 55,000 were in the queue at one point. And you know that, like, when's the last time you went to a show and just wanted one ticket? Like, everybody wants 2 to 4 tickets, right?
Absolutely, of course.
So, easily 100,000 people, they could have sold 100,000 tickets for that stupid show. Can you imagine?
Tell you, Kaminsky Park or whatever it is now, Wrigley Field, where can they go next? What's the next bigger building? Because, you know, jumping to the Allstate, you can just move right past that and move right onto an outdoor stadium. I'm not even kidding, too. If they keep this kind of pace up and TV takes off even a little bit, Soldier Field probably should not be out of their options.
I want to mention, by the way, that I was talking to somebody about when they sold out, and I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've stated it here on many shows, that this is like the best time possible for AEW to be born. It's the best time since 1995. It's a better time than when TNA started. It's a better time than when TNA tried to go head-to-head. Better time than when Ring of Honor started. It is the absolute best time since 1995 for an alternative to WWE to spring up. And what I was thinking about today was there's a big difference. Even though I go back to 95, the big difference was when WCW announced that they were going to move to Mondays and go head-to-head with Raw, like, nobody, I don't want to say nobody cared, but it was like, okay, that's probably a dumb idea. Nobody was clamoring for Nitro to go head-to-head with Raw. They weren't clamoring for it until it started and it was better. This is different because people are actually clamoring for somebody to go head-to-head with the WWE. So they're in a better position than WCW was in 1995. Back in a moment, Observer Live. I did have a couple of people during the break make the very astute observation that 80,000 people in the queue. 80,000 is actually the number that we're attempting to log in for tickets, meaning that if you were trying to get a ticket, you may have had your desktop, laptop, and phone all in the queue. So we're not talking like 80,000 individual people, but 80,000 requests. Now, obviously, if you had three, okay, let's say that all of those 80,000, let's say that there were 3 computers for each of those people. So you're talking like, 2,700 or so, or 27,000 actual people. So that's obviously much less than 100,000, but not every single one of those people was only trying to get 1 ticket. Some were probably trying to get 2, some were probably trying to get 4, whatever. So realistically, now I'm Dave on Twitter. Realistically, we're looking at this show probably could have sold between 50 and 100,000 tickets. And we don't know how many, we'll never know how many till they actually try and sell out a 100,000 seat building, which we'll find out if they attempt to do that anytime soon. But that's the update on tickets there. So it's hard to say, it's impossible to say, but as this person noted, all you really need to know is they sold out in 15 minutes. So that's that. All right, we're out of time, everybody. Going to wrap it up for today. I want to thank everybody for listening. Check out WrestlingObserver.com. I'll have the replay up here in just a moment. It will be a pristine recording, as I often promise. And we will be back on Monday with more. You can check out more at WrestlingObserver.com. Lots of great shows up there. I'll be up with Landstorm later on. So check it out, everybody, and that is it. We will talk to you again after a while.